Good morning and welcome to Money Truth Moments with Judy Copenbarger. Good morning, Judy. How you doing this morning?
Good morning, Carlos. I am well. It's good to see you on this fine Tuesday morning.
I love it, right? Sun is out, no more rain. It's just a beautiful day. What a great way to start our Tuesday morning, folks. Thank you for joining us this morning. I am your host, Carlos Garcia. I'm here with Judy Copenbarger, our wisdom expert in finance. If you're not following Judy, please do so at judycopenbarger.com. I'm very excited about today's show. We've talked about a lot of great things since the beginning of the year, goals, planning, and all of that. Today, we're going to begin introducing you guys to the Copenbarger method of multi-generational financial succession. That's a mouthful, but you're going to want to take some notes. You know, Judy always talks about making sure you have your pen and paper ready to take notes because this is going to be a dynamic show. I want to welcome you guys again. Thanks for joining us. Please make sure you share out the stream. Today's topic, we're going to really launch and look at planning personal and family finances. So with that said, I know that I don't want to run out of time, so let's jump right into it, Judy. What do you say?
Absolutely. Let's go.
All right. So one of the questions that's come up over time is why plan for personal and family finances?
Wow. Why plan? Why not? Of course, when you plan, you can get where you want to go. If you don't plan, you might get there, you might not. Sometimes I'll share with people, we live in Southern California, and if we wanted to go to Vancouver, we would get over to the 5 freeway and go north, and we would just never get off the 5. We just go north, 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 all the way till we got to Canada. And we would know that that's the route. Now, if you're out in Albuquerque or Indiana somewhere, or, driving around the cornfields in Iowa, you might still get to Vancouver at some point, but it's not expeditious. It's not efficient. It'll take you longer. It'll cost you more. You might end up there, but you might not. You might end up somewhere you don't want to be. So planning is just a matter of keeping the end goal in mind. What's the outcome I want? What's the end result that I want? And what do I need to do to get there? That's where the planning comes in. So of course you need to plan. You're always going to find it more efficient when you do so.
That's awesome. Can you give us also a little bit of maybe guide us on how do we even get started? Because I know, for example, there's been questions that have come up over the last several months, and it, we answered some of these questions specifically about planning, but yet new things come up, and obviously we have new audiences watching, and we have millennials watching, which is great too, and I think that they're in a category by themselves that, for the most part, nobody's really taught them things about finance, how to even get started on planning. So maybe you can share a few of your wisdom a little bit about how they can get started.
Yeah, well, you just got to start. Number one is do something, get started. And I'll tell you, millennials have such an advantage. These are smart, smart people. They grew up with smartphones and smart friends, and a lot of them had smart parents and mentors. And they really have an advantage to having information at their fingertips, and they know how to get it. For some of us, we grew up going to the library. We'd go to the section, we'd pull the book, we'd sit down, open the book, and read it. And it was efficient, but not near as fast as information comes now. So millennials have the advantage of navigating that information. The downside to that is there's so much information, most of it is not good for you when it comes to finances. Most information in the financial world is coming to you from someone that has an incentive or an enticement for you to believe a certain way or follow a certain way. And at the end, they're usually selling you something. And it's not always information. It's something they want you to buy or invest in or do or undo, or someplace to put your money where there's some kind of a sales, end in mind. So that's the information you want to be able to really navigate and know, is it a conflict of interest or is it really something that's good for me?
Excellent. And again, folks, just to be clear, I am not picking on the millennials. Love the millennials. I just want to make sure I use them as an example on that, which, it's usually those are the questions that come up with them too. And I'm glad you're clarifying that. So as we're talking about personal and family finances, how can we imagine like family harmony around money, right? That's almost like it doesn't seem like it would fit properly, right? So how can we do that?
Family harmony around money. is huge. I'll tell you, well, in a marriage, there's usually two things that couples break up over or they fight over, and it's money. And the other thing, a different show, but it's those two things. And I think it's because money is just a tool. It's just a conversation. It's just a way to share values or to hold values. It's how you spend money, how you grow money, how you earn money, how you buy your time with money. It's just a way to have power, to have control when it's used that way. So you can definitely do that in a marriage or in a family. It's also a way to buy peace. So if the money issues are handled, if the expenses are handled and you're not worrying about how to not run out of money before you run out of time every month, then you have peace and you have that kind of freedom to do the rest of your life and think about other things you want to do with your kids or your spouse or whatever. But not having to worry about money really brings a lot of freedom for people, and it takes away that conflict. So when you can have harmony in a marriage around money, you get on the same page, you have that plan that we talked about where you know exactly where you're going and why you're saving that money and why you're maybe not going out to pizza four times this week and why you're making choices every day that are financial together. That brings the harmony in a marriage, and that trickles down to the kids too. So if you have young people in your life, you've got kids at home, school-age kids, or even young adult kids, they're watching you. And it's not so much what you say to them about money, like you should do it this way or that way. They're watching you. That modeling is so much more important than your words. Words are important, but they're going to see the result you get, and they're going to make decisions about how they do life based on how you do. So the ability to purposefully put harmony around money decisions in your family is huge. And it's at the very core of the planning that we do and the philosophy that we have with the financial strategic planning that we do with our firm.
Excellent. And folks, if you're just joining us, welcome. Please make sure that you share out the stream. Follow Judy at judycopenbarger.com. There's a wealth of resources and information that we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. But we're talking about today about personal and family finances. We were just talking about family harmony. And I don't want to put you on the spot, Judy, but I also admire the fact that your family is a great example of that family harmony when it comes to finance. And if you don't mind, I would love for you to share some of that with the audience as well, too.
Yeah. Well, just before I share a little about our family, I'm thinking about some clients that came in last week, just about a week ago. And they had been wanting to come in for a while. And they said before we met, they wanted to plan for like 15 years and they could never find a really good fit, someone they were confident with to lay out. You're kind of like laying out everything, when it's a financial thing. It's like, here's everything we've done, right, wrong, and in between. But they came in to create what we call a financial roadmap. They brought the whole family, 3 children and a daughter-in-law, and they created their goals. They aligned with their values. They put everything in place. And what triggered their request for the meeting was he lost his parents. The final parent finally passed away. A substantial inheritance is coming their way, and it has to do with family business, a lot of real estate, a lot of commercial property they'll be managing together. And so they all showed up together because they're just now saying, we're going to go to Vancouver. We're all putting that same dot on the map. We're all going this direction, and we're all going to have a different role in that. But they're going to be able to fill this family dynasty and continue the legacy from mom and dad, but this whole dynasty that they're going to create, and they don't want to mess up. There's tax issues, and there's leverage issues, mortgage issues, and there's management with property, and how do we hold all the entities to protect, what we've been accumulating and will accumulate in the future? How do we help the kids where we're not giving them too much authority and too much responsibility too soon, not giving them too much money before they have the experience to know how to manage it? So we're doing that as a family, and I'm so excited for them because I can imagine, I see it all the time, but they don't see it all the time. They will. But every, 2 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, looking back, what that is going to look like for their family is just so amazing. And the harmony that comes to make it happen together. So we all know the stories, and we might even know the people that have the experience of money shows up and the harmony's gone, if they had any ever. Right. It divides them. it becomes very hostile environment, suspicions, there's no transparency. Money can really harm family and take away, family unity. But it can also bring you together if you have that plan. So I'm excited about that couple. Now, you asked about my family.
Yeah.
Just last night, we had the coolest conversation. Well, we usually do have cool conversations. So we have 5 children, and they're all young adults between 25 and 33. And we have 2 son-in-laws, and they're amazing. I wish they were my own, but now I get to borrow them for my whole life. They're great. So now we have 7 kids, which is great and growing. But last night we were talking about money stuff. So our son had some questions, and we all do this together. And I remember when they were little, we would get around the dining room table when we got the bills, like the water bill and the power bill, and talk about the money. Well, here's where we have to spend money for the water bill. We can see what we spent last month, what we spent last year compared to now. Did we spend more or less? Well, what do you think is better, you guys? Should we spend more or less? Well, we should spend less. Why should we spend less? Because there's more money left over to go to Chuck E. Cheese, right? Or go get pizza. So we did that when they were little, and they were all very entrepreneurial, and they all just had a really good sense of that. We wanted to be transparent so they wouldn't have to learn it on the streets or make so many mistakes like we did. But last night we were having one of our family conversations. So one of our sons is getting his corporate taxes done. And so there were all kinds of questions about that and the new rules and all that, expenses and all that stuff. And then our daughter and her husband were in Texas over the weekend looking at a ranch to buy. So they'd like to domicile, and live both places, which I think is really smart for tax reasons. And so they were looking at that. And my son-in-law had a lot of questions about mortgages. What happens if you buy the house, you don't keep it for 30 years and then you sell it? Does the other guy keep your mortgage? What happens to that? Does the bank get all their money? Because you're paying like twice as much on the house. Or he figured all the math out. He's like, wow. And so we were able to talk about how mortgage and interest works and borrowing works and what they're looking for and how long it lasts and just all the ins and outs that you kind of learn by having life experience. Right. But if you've never had someone tell you about their mortgage or talk to a banker that does that, and you've never had your own before, how would you know? And I thought, what a blessing for us to all be able to have that conversation, and the other kids who haven't purchased property yet, for them to learn from that. And from the mortgages over the years, we've done many of them. Some we did really smart, some not so good. Some of those early ones, it's like we did what they told us and we didn't know better. So it was just really fun to have that conversation. Then we were talking about personal taxes with our daughter. They were all talking about getting money into their Roths. They've done that since they were little bitty, by the way. Some of them even babies put money in their Roth earned income every year. So they were talking about, how much can we put in our Roth this year? And are we maxed out? And how's it going? And what's the ROI on that? So those are the conversations we get to have at our house. It's so much fun, and capitalizing their business and growing new legs on their businesses. It's just really fun. So for us, money and financial conversations have really been at the center of our doing life. It's not just, try to not make a mistake on your spreadsheet or, with paying too much tax. It's how we do life. Money funds our interests and our hobbies and our families and the impact that we want to have on the world. We're pretty charitably motivated here, and we all like to give and see the results of that giving. And to do that together is just harmonious and wonderful. And I really wish a little bit more of that for every family. And it's possible.
Yeah, and it's always, and I appreciate you sharing this about your family, because it's, as folks are watching, you're not the typical finance person when we talk about it, right? No. I mean, we had parents, and even some of the folks out there who are in the industry are never gonna. It's almost like it's almost like your dad telling you, no, this is the way you have to do it, and you just get this intimidation. And I think that's half the battle, trying to find that connection with someone who's not going to be that. I don't know what the word I'm looking for, but there's not that level of comfort, right? So it's. Your kids are very blessed to have you, because it's definitely, as we've talked and folks have gotten to know you too, you're the real deal. You're not this, and I hate to say it, you're not this stiff in the finance world, right? Where you're always, So this and that. So you actually do make finance fun, right? For a lot of people, numbers and all of that, it's just like, no, I don't want to learn. I don't want to hear about it. So I'm glad that you share that with our audience as well. I want to say, folks, thank you again for joining us. We are talking with Judy Copenbarger. She is sharing her wisdom on family and personal finances. We've launched a great show series today, so please make sure that you share this out. We will be talking a little bit more about resources when we continue this, because I don't want to lose track of where we are right now. And it's a perfect segue into talking about, you talked about starting kids off real young, right? So, for example, for me growing up, I learned from finances from my parents, right? My parents' background was basically, my dad was just save, 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 right? For his big thing was, if you have $2, spend $1, save $1. That was my dad, right? He never really got into investing. He never really got into that, because for him it was, he worked really hard for his money. He didn't want to gamble it. He said, might as well go to Vegas, put it all on red or whatever, and then let's see what happens. That was his mentality, right? So this is what I kind of grew up with, and not knowing any better, right? So, what can you share with us about folks like me and other folks who are probably listening, who growing up, who've never really been good at managing money? Even as adults, I'm sure that we're doing things that we could do better, or things that we shouldn't be doing, for just the lack of knowledge, or also having that comfort level to talk to someone like you, someone in the finance world is going to, sit down with us and really explain it, rather than, just bark at us and just tell us, no, you're doing this all wrong and wrong, but you're not giving me solutions. Yeah. So if you can talk a little about how you can help folks that never really been good at managing money, including myself with that.
Well, I think the first thing is to educate yourself. You could get a coach, you could get a money manager, you could hire someone that's a fee-only planner and put together a strategic plan. I mean, I do that. That's my background. But I think if it's just understanding, just having that basic understanding, one of the best things to do, and it's kind of self-serving to say, but that's why I created Money, Truth, and Life. There's an online mastery program that allows you to learn about all the pillars of finance. So maybe it's just the legal part you need. What's a will? What's a trust? What kind of trusts are there? Should I have an LLC? Should I have a C Corp or an S Corp? I don't know. And your accountant might or might not know, but don't you want to know the right questions to ask when you go to someone who's helping you? So the online mastery course helps you with those legal questions, insurances. That's confusing, because every insurance agent out there is going to sell you all kinds of stuff, and they talk so fast, and there's so many moving parts. I don't know. What's a VUL and a IUL and a fixed this and a variable that and term insurance and living needs benefits and all this crazy stuff and premium? How much should I pay? How much did I pay? Well, the thing about an insurance agent is they're on the other side of a transaction, and it doesn't make them bad people. And it doesn't mean the work they're doing is bad, but they are very motivated by your premium being higher, because they get paid a piece of that premium. They're not going to want your premium to be lower normally, right? It's naturally a built-in conflict of interest. So if you know better, you do better. So you can go on to the online mastery program, Money, Truth, and Life, and you can learn about insurances so you know what kind you need for you and your family at your house. Then you can just say, well, thanks for sharing all that other stuff. This is really the objective we have. We're going to Vancouver. We don't want to go to Atlanta. We're going to Vancouver. And here's the area that we want to look at. Investments, what's a stock, what's a bond, how much of each should I have? Mutual funds, ETFs, all of that, alternative investments and commercial paper and notes, and all these things are coming at you with. And now we've got the Bitcoin craze and gold, how much should I have of that? All that crazy stuff. By the way, on my YouTube channel, you can have all day long, for a week probably, you could watch videos on all of these topics that are very specialized to give you just another perspective. It's going to be a moderately conservative perspective for something that will work over time and sustainably. So there's all kinds of information that's free, so you can go get it. The online course is available for you. Right now I have it set for you viewers to go there. You can watch any class you want, and there are many, dozens of classes. And you can watch any class you want on any subject you want for family, small business, and personal finance for free for a week. So you don't even have to pay for the subscription. You can watch as many classes as you want in a week. After that, they turn it on and it's like $9 or $10 a month or less. I don't know. But you can do that. There's also the Money, Truth, and Life book. I think it's a great resource to have right on your shelf handy, because as you're going through your tax planning, as you're going through your estate planning, updating all those things, this time of year, we usually get all the notices. Yeah, that's it.
Yep.
We get all the notices from tax. It's kind of a financial time of year for a lot of people preparing for personal taxes, and how much interest did I make last year, and how much did I pay for my mortgage, how many months did I have health coverage, all those questions your accountant's going to ask you. We're gathering. So it's a really good time to get this book on your shelf, give it a quick read. It's very primer level. It's got real stories that are relevant and helpful for you to understand these concepts and really get an understanding of what you need to know to build that foundation to move forward. So that's available for you. That's something I put into the world to help people. I don't want to work with everybody. I have an organic farm to run and chickens to cuddle. I don't want to have 100 more clients. But that information is available of concepts that work, stories that relate, things that you need to know to really manage your household finances well, to grow and protect at the same time, and to work toward that family harmony at your house.
And I'm glad you're talking about the resources. Folks, thanks for joining us. You're hearing Judy Copenbarger speak about some of the things that she's gone through and actually, before I even go further, congratulations on the book. I know it's been a bestseller across several platforms.
Mm-hmm.
You've also talked about the online mastery program as well. And it's free, guys. I mean, it's something you need to know about Judy. And if you haven't figured this out already, she just said right now, she's not doing this to gain clients and all of that. This has actually been her life's work. It's been about her legacy. And I think the fact that she's offering these opportunities for you guys to check it out for free. I mean, it's not going to cost you anything but time, right? And if you really want to make a change in your life financially, take advantage of it. I think she's even, if I'm not mistaken, you still even have the book on Kindle for 99 cents. So yep. That's a skill in itself. So if nothing else, invest $1 in yourself just to change your life around, If you visit Judy at judycopenbarger.com, you're also going to notice that there is a wealth of resources. She mentioned her YouTube channel, so there's a lot of free video and content that you can also look at for free. There's also resources available, including ordering the book or the online mastery program as well. It's free for a week for you to try out. So you can't go wrong. Like I said, if you really want to invest, if you really want to change your life around, it's free, guys. There's no other ways that we can get you to do this unless we sit you down right in front of your screen and make you do it. So, but we're all grown up, so we all need to, be responsible for our own actions. So, we've covered quite a bit, a lot today. I want to make sure that also our audience knows that this is part of several series that we're going to be putting out in the next few weeks. So you want to make sure that you stay tuned. Remember, every Tuesday morning at 8 o'clock, we are here doing Money Truth Moments with Judy. We're also very excited that we're going to be launching several podcasts, and she's going to be doing some additional live radio stuff as well too. So we'll give you more information as we get close to launching this very soon as well too. So I want to also take a moment to, before I forget, to talk about our Money Truth Challenge. One of my favorite parts of the show. Yep, absolutely.
Hey, we had a great challenge last week, Carlos, and I want to hear a little bit because a little birdie told me something about yours. So last week we had a challenge to take one of those spokes from the integrity wheel. And if you don't know what that is, it's in the book and you can watch past episodes to learn all about it. That's the Money, Truth, and Life, the life part of this whole work. So I understand something happened with one of your spokes, Carlos. So I'd love to hear what happened as you were straightening that spoke. What happened?
Yeah, so last week I shared with you guys, and I'm going to put up the integrity wheel up here so you guys can see what we're talking about when Judy refers to the spokes on this, right? We have quite a bit of spokes on here. So what I actually I have two things that I really wanted to focus on. One was my health and fitness, and the other one was my financial spoke. I think and correct me if I'm wrong, did I speak about our health spoke last week as well?
You did. You talked about the gym was closed at the time and you had to just do a workaround, and you did great.
Yeah, and I tried very hard to do that. So my next spoke that really needs some aligning, which I'm glad we're talking about today, is finance, right? So I've taken a look at going back, because everything that we do in our challenge always takes me back to, okay, I remember from way back when. I talked about a little bit about my parents, the finance piece. And so as I'm looking at my life and I'm looking at some of the stuff that I've done over the years, it's like, when it comes to finance, although I think we're doing okay with that, there's obviously room for better improvement.
Mhm.
So one of the scary things has been over the years, we're going on 24 years of marriage on there too this year. So it's always we've had what we think it's our financial quote unquote roadmap, but it's not really. I consider more of that bumpy road with potholes everywhere. We're kind of dashing and doing all of this.
Yep.
So we made the decision, and it's for me and for my wife, it's actually very huge that we're able to find somebody that we can talk to on that, because our experience has been, like you said, we've actually been unfortunate. The folks that we've talked to over several times have been a complete turnoff, and it's almost like, well, we might as well just do it ourselves, because all we're going to be doing is, not really. I'm not feeling that, the fuzzies when I'm talking to somebody financially.
Yeah.
So I will share with you that coming up, we're actually going to be talking to a professional to create that moving forward. We're not getting any younger, so we need to really start looking at this the correct way. And I'm very excited about what that's going to entail. So I'm going to definitely fill our audience in more on that. But just so you know, that spoke, I'm actually working again, folks. It's the finance piece, because I think we all need it. Whether you think you really have it set or you think you have it all dialed in, there is always room to improve. There's always room to find better ways of doing things too. So I wanted to share that. I'm very excited to share the outcome of that, or where I am on that road. So more to come on that for sure.
All right. We will keep posted, and congratulations. That's a big step. When you've been burned before, to be able to trust someone and say, okay, we're going to take a chance, take a risk and do it. And to do it together, I think is just awesome. So good for you. Are you ready for this week's challenge?
Absolutely. Let's do this.
Okay. It is about family harmony, marital harmony around money. Here's the 3 points. I always like 3, and I always like you to get pen and paper. Get your pen. Okay. First thing, identify some ways that family harmony could be improved around money at your house. Just make a list, 1 thing, 2 things, 5 things, 10 things. What could we do better as a couple, as a family? And maybe it's an extended family. At our house, it is. My 91-year-old mom's here, and she's involved in a lot of our decisions with us. So identify some ways that family harmony could be improved at your house. Number 2, who's included in family harmony? Is it people outside your house? Is it people inside your house? Is it other family members, other business partners? Who's involved in family harmony? You need to, make that group finite. Who are these people? And number 3, 2 action items that will raise your level of harmony in your family. What are 2 things that we can do? Is it a conversation you need to have? Are there people that haven't been in those conversations that should be? Are there people that have been in the conversations that we need to vote off the island and get them out of our business, right? Maybe we need to plan a family dinner around finances. What if you gathered your whole family? If it's something you don't talk about at your house, and that's the house I grew up in. I never knew. To this day, I don't know who handled the checkbook and paid the bills at my house. I don't know which one of my parents did it, because they did not discuss it in front of us. So I had to go off and get several degrees and credentials to learn all this stuff. But maybe you need to have that family dinner or call a family meeting, get everybody there. And just imagine everybody's there. You've never discussed it before. And you say, we want to get our family finances in order. We want to get this house in order once and for all and keep it that way. And we want all of you involved that are going to be part of the legacy and part of the creation of this new family constitution around finances. We've made mistakes. We want to stop doing that. We've worked without information. Now we want to get good information. We want to do it together and create a sustainable family financial future for us. So what if you did that? What if you had that meeting and you said, this is the new start, right? We're all together anyway with COVID. This is the new start. Let's get together, put a plan together, hear from everyone that's in this finite group of what their desired outcome is. What do they want to have happen in 1, 2, 5, 10, 20 years? What do we all want? What are we all working toward? And just try to narrow and pinpoint what that optimal outcome is. Then we can work together to get there. Then we can come up with a plan. Who needs to be on the team? What information do we need? What kind of time do we need? Do we need to have another meeting? What's next? But just imagine if that happened at your house, even if it's never happened before, what that could do for the trajectory of your whole family forever. It's powerful. I'm telling you, it's powerful. And I have the honor of being kind of on the front row, watching families do that day in and day out in my work. It is phenomenal. It's, night and day for families and their futures. It's so exciting. So here it is again. Number 1, identify ways your family harmony could be improved. Number 2, who is included in that family harmony conversation? And what 2 action items can you take to move that family harmony forward at your house?
Awesome, folks. You've heard the challenge. You better make sure that you write it down, because we would love to hear from you. Please make sure, if you want to share this out, please make sure you put it on the chat. Fill us in. Also remember that any questions that you may have regarding the show, of the topics that we covered, please put them in the chat. We would love to address that also in the upcoming shows as well. And as usually, well, we're out of time, but I want to thank Judy for her time again. It's always a pleasure seeing you every Tuesday morning, you sharing the wisdom. Folks, if you're watching this or you're just joining us, please make sure that you follow Judy on judycopenbarger.com. Please watch the replay, share it out with your friends, family, everyone that needs help financially. I know I will, that's for sure. So Judy, thank you. Any last parting words?
No, just think about that family harmony, pulling it all together. It's a good time to do it right here at the beginning of this year. So you can do this.
Awesome. All right, folks, I am your host, Carlos, here with Money Truth Moments. Until next Tuesday, 8 a.m. Don't forget, tune in. Until then, take care.
Have a great day.